This is Carla Brandt from ISM, and it just turned 10 o'clock, so I'm going to give maybe 1 to 2 more minutes. We're waiting for a couple more people, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So I'll be right back with you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Ty, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Well, welcome everyone to our year-end user group, online user group for the Sage 100 product. This is our first time actually doing it online. Usually we have them at each of our offices in person, but we're having a much better turnout doing this. That way you can sit in your office and take some time away from your day-to-day work and be able to, we're getting a lot higher attendance doing it this way. So you may see more of these in the future. And we're going to try and start doing these quarterly. And again, we'll probably have online events like this. Our subject matter today is year-end processing. So I do have Ty presenting. And I'm going to hand it over to her in a moment. I just have a couple things. We're going to go over year-end processes. And we are also going to give you a sneak peek at the 2014 product release that will be coming out. We're hoping for the first quarter. So we'll show you a little bit of that to entice you. And then we'll open it up for any questions. A couple of housekeeping things. I will go ahead and mute everyone because there does seem to be a little bit of background noise, and we have a lot of people on this call. If you have any questions or want to raise your hand during while we're presenting, go ahead and use the chat over to the right-hand side of your screen, as well as Ty will pause after each. She'll pause and ask if there's any questions at various points through the event. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Ty, and all of you should be able to see her screen. This is ISN's year-end user group webinar. If you cannot, again, use your chat. And we'll get you started, but I know I can see it, and I've tested it a few times, so we should be good to go. I'm going to hand it over to Ty.
All right. Good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Good morning if you're on the West Coast. Welcome to our year-end user group. We're going to go through all right. Can you all hear me? Good. I'm going to go through what we need to do to get you through the year-end for 2013. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive right into the presentation. We are going to go through how to use the W-2 and 1099 printing, which is using Sage's e-filing and reporting. The reason why we are bringing this up is because obviously Sage comes out with a new version every year. And when Sage 2014 comes out, I think it's actually just got released because I think I saw the link up the other day to be able to download the 2014 version. The reason why I want to go through this and review it with you is because as of the 2014 version, Sage, as we know for years, if you've done payroll or 1099, Sage has their own way of putting W-2s and 1099s in the system. As of 2014, they are going away from that. It is no longer going to be part of the product anymore, and you have to use the Sage e-filing and reporting. So I'm just going to go through both of those and just show you where those are in the system, and then just kind of show you, take you through some of the steps, not all the way through the process, but kind of show you where you have to go. It's all wizard-driven. So it kind of makes it nice and intuitive to follow along. The other item we're going to go through is the backup and archive procedures of having to back up your system or archive your data off if you find that your system is starting to run slow because you have a lot of data you've been storing for a lot of years. I'm going to show you where a few of those items are in the system. And then we're going to go through the order of close. So I'm just going to briefly take you through the order of how you need to close your modules in mass. Hopefully you're already doing that on a month-end basis, but I'm just going to briefly show you how to take that through also the year-end process. And that segues into Paperless Office for your year-end activities. As we all know, whenever you do your month-end and your period end, there are a lot of reports that are all tied to that. So I'm going to show you just briefly how to set up your Paperless Office so that you can take all of your year-end or your period-end driven reports and print those off to PDF as opposed to printing them to paper and then whenever you need them, you're sending somebody to the basement or to the warehouse or somewhere in that file drawer or cabinet to be able to pull that information out. I'm going to show you how if you print stuff to paperless, you can just find that information within your Sage 100 system. The next item we're going to go over is the module options. Every year we get a call various times during the year saying we just finished our period end close or our year end close because not everybody has a 12/31 year end, and all of a sudden my data is missing in the system. So I'm just going to show y'all where y'all should be going in your system to verify how much history your system is retaining in the system so that you're not losing that information. And then last but not least, I'm just going to show you some of the new features that are in the new Sage 100 product and some sneak peeks of some of the webinars that we're going to be showing you in this coming year of different pieces of software, additional functionality that Sage is now offering within the 2014 version. So let's go ahead and start. December 20th, it's not quite here yet, but it's right around the corner. Sage is going to be posting the 2013 IRD, or your IRD. That IRD, which is the interim release download, is what takes your Sage 100 system and makes it ready so that you can process your 1099s and your W-2s for this year in the system. It is only available to customers who are current on their Sage Business Care Plan, but you'll be able to go out onto the Sage Software Online database using your username and password. If you don't have a username and password or you don't know how to get onto that site, at the very end I'm going to show you an email address where you can email our account management team and they will get you up and running on that. Also for the ability to do your W-2 and 1099 printing, and it's not just for the e-filing. This is also if you're using Sage's version of W-2s and 1099s, you're going to need this IRD. But you need to be running version 4.4, product update 1 through 10, version 4.5, product update 1 through 7, or you need to be running the latest version as of, well, now 2014 is the latest, but at the time, the 2013 version, product update 3 through 4. Those versions, as long as you're running one of those versions, the IRD that will be released on December 20th will make your system ready to be able to process your 1099s and your W-2s. So I'm just going to briefly go in. Go ahead. Yeah.
This is Carla. So if you are not on the version she just mentioned, at the end of this call, we will put up some email addresses, and you want to get in touch with us so we can see about getting you on the latest version. And we don't want anyone to wait till last minute, so you'll want to look at that as soon as you get off the call. Thanks, guys.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into and just show you where your W-2, 1099, and e-filing is within the system. So for accounts payable, underneath your reports module, that is where you will find the Form 1099 e-filing and reporting capability in the system. It is simply just clicking it in the system. It will bring up your screen, asking you which form you're trying to use, whether you're doing dividend, interest, or miscellaneous, your ability to put in where you want your cap to be in the system, and all you do is simply click accept, and the system will go through, and what it's doing for me right now, it's running through my database, my accounts payable database, and it's simply going through and reviewing and finding out in the system who is available for me to print a 1099 for in the system. So it's just running through my data right now. Once it's done running through my data in the system and it brings up my screen, it's going to bring up pretty much like a wizard. And in that wizard where I will go through the system and enter various information, it's going to ask me for my email address, my company information, my email address of whoever's responsible for it in the system. And here it is. I'm going to show you the wizard. It's going to say, I want to just process my 1099. It's going to make you verify your tax ID number. It's going to ask you for all your payer information in the system. Am I filing for my company or my employer? It's pretty much just a wizard-driven system that I just simply go through and review, is it correct or is it not correct in the system? And if it is, it follows through. Once I go through all my prompts in the system, it's going to go through and check for the names to make sure the information is correct. It will do a check against tax ID information in the system to verify whoever the person is has an accurate and correct tax ID system. So it is also for you to stop and verify, is that tax ID number correct in the system? Address information, it verifies is my numbers that I have in the boxes are correct. It also verifies if I, for some reason, had state information, I can verify that information. And then Sage, I'm going to stop right here and discuss this really quick. Sage, because they're now using Atrix or their e-filing system, there's a new service for 1099 and W-2s that if you want, they will print it, mail it, file everything on your behalf for you at a cost. And how it's driven is it's based off of an each. So I have 3 recipients. It's multiplying out at $1.89 what it's going to cost me. When you get to this screen, if you're doing it yourself, make sure you change the radio button to other options, and you just simply tell it that I just want to print my own 1099, go ahead and print my federal 1099, 1096, and I just simply hit next in the system. It's going to do another thing to try and sell you on it. Either you say yes or you say no. But if you say no, just leave it unchecked and you just continue through the process. And then all it's going to simply do at this point is take me through the last step to start my printing of all my information. At this point, this is where I will start to load my information into the printer. So it's going to say, are you ready to print? If I'm ready to print, I'm going to load my copy A into the printer. And it's going to say, do you want to print? I would say yes. And it's going to say, please enter the red copy that you purchased. And then the system will go ahead and print that information for you in the system. Then it also gives you your 1096. So same thing. It's going to say, do you want to print your 1096? I would say yes. You will load your pre-printed 1096 into your printer, and it will simply go through and print that out for you. They will then print for me in the system my 1099 miscellaneous is in the system. And when you do this in the system, what you do to print these is, and it's the same thing for your W-2s when it comes to your recipient copies, all you simply need is your blank 4-up paper. So when you go to, whether you go to Staples, Office Depot, go to Sage, Sage is selling also, Sage is also selling the forms. You're just buying plain white 4-up paper. That's all you need. And the 1099, the ability to do this is you have the option to do your miscellaneous. You can do your dividend, and you can also do your interest forms. So as long as you have your Sage 100 system set up on the vendor maintenance, whether it's a miscellaneous, an interest, or dividend client, it will print that information for you. When I had first started my wizard in the drop-down box, I simply had selected miscellaneous. But if I knew I had interest or I had dividend, ones that I needed print for, all I would have simply done was change the drop-down and print whatever I was printing items for. I hope that answers the question that was put in the chat box. Once I load my 1099 preparation paper, I just simply say OK, and it will automatically pre-print and print all that information on there. If when I bought my blank 4-up paper, and this is simply, it's going to be for you an economic decision. If you buy plain blank 4-up paper that has nothing pre-printed on the back, if you buy too much this year, you'll have enough for next year. But if you buy the $4.99, that's 4-up paper that's pre-printed on the back with either miscellaneous instructions or W-2 instructions on the back, keep in mind that if you have extras, then you will throw them away because you can't use them for the following year. If you decide to buy the blank 4-up paper, Sage, as you can see right here, will automatically give you those instructions that are normally pre-printed on the back of the 4-up form for you to then drop in the envelope along with the 1099 when you send it out to your employees or you're sending them out to your vendors. All right? And then it's just giving me all my different copies. So I already went through A, B, and obviously here's my C copy in the system. And I'm just going to simply say no. When I'm all done, it's going to then simply log that I went through and I printed off my recipient, my federal. If I had state information that I needed to file 1099 for, it would have done that also for me. And then all I do is simply close, and that's the end of my 1099 printing process. The same applies in payroll, and it's underneath payroll period end. You have your federal e-filing and reporting. I would have the same wizard is the same thing as it follows through in the W-2s that you have. All I simply do is come in here in the system, find my W-2 printing that I need to print for, and I hit accept, and I follow the wizard all the way through just like I did for 1099. Keep in mind, the system also does 941s. So some of this information will be going away. So if I needed to do my 941s on a quarterly basis and go back and pull my 941s, I have the ability to do my 941s also in the system. I also have the ability to print whatever state information that I need. So for me, I'm in Virginia. If I needed to file my VA-6, which at the end of the year you have to file to Virginia showing what the year annual tax income was, I could have printed all that information for me in the system. So whatever state that you're in, just review it in the system because a lot of them automatically give you the forms that you need to file on behalf of the government. All right? So I'm going to stop right here and see if there's any questions that I haven't answered or anything that I did not go over that anybody has questions on. All right, I didn't see anything pop up in the chat, so I'm going to keep going, but if I see something else, I'll stop it and review. So the next thing we're going to go through is the backup and archive procedures. And there's two different, when we say backup and archive, there's two different things that we mean when we say that. Obviously, at the end of every year and before, obviously, you're doing your period end, you want to make sure that your network guy or your IT person or the accounting manager that has all the computer experience for the department, you have them go through and do what we call a hard backup, either whether it's to tape, somebody does a copy and a paste of the whole miscellaneous folder. However you do that, you want to make sure that that backup happens on your system before you go through and start doing your period end or your year-end closes in the system. But at the end of every year, to make sure that you have a copy of your data so that you can run your W-2s or your 1099s, because as we all know, very few of us run our W-2s as soon as we're done. Sometimes your last payroll is maybe the 30th or the 31st of the month, and you're going to run a payroll maybe the first week of the following month in January, and we obviously have to install the new tax tables, whatever, and you know it can impact all of that. So what we tell customers to do in the system is simply create a backup of your company, and I'm just going to call this my payroll and AP for 2013 in the system. And all you simply do is take whatever company, what is your live company, and mine is ABC company, and all I'm going to do is select my AP and my payroll in the system for backup purposes so that I can go ahead and my live ABC company or whatever your live company code is, you can go ahead in that company and go ahead and keep doing payroll for the new year, go ahead and pay more AP vendors, do whatever you need to do. But when it comes time for you to be able to go back and run your W-2s or your 1099s, you can roll back to that backup company that you created at the end of the year to hold that information. Carla, can you hear me?
I can hear you. It looks like Bevan cannot hear. I'm going to unmute everybody. Can everyone else hear?
Yes. Can y'all all hear me? Yep.
I can.
All right. I just happened to see that pop up. Bevan, can you hear me now?
She can. Oh, okay.
Let's see. All right, Carla, we'll continue. And if I see it pop up again and she still can't hear me, we'll see what we can do to reset this. Got it. All right. So once you create your backup of your company and company maintenance, you have that company, and that's your company that you can roll back to and that you can run your 1099s or your AP from. I know some people also make backups of their company, whether it's to go back and review their inventory or so on and so forth, just because you want that kind of point-in-time report for the system for various different reasons. This is your ability to be able to go in your system, go into the system and make that copy of your company. The other thing in the system that you can do is you can create what we call archives of your company. So I just went in the system and created my company called Archive of it, and it's my archive in the system as of 2013. And all I'm going to do is simply copy it from my live company and select all the modules in the system that I want to copy that information from. The reason why I'm doing that in the system is sometimes you go in the system and there's a lot of information and a lot of data that you really don't want to see anymore. You have the ability in the system if you want to go through and start purging off information. So what I might potentially go in the system and say, well, I want to purge everything in the system as of 12/31 maybe 2005 or whatever in the system, because I only want to keep so many years of data in the system. What that will do, you'll notice, is your system will slowly speed up. But once you purge off that information, if for some reason you need to go back and see that information, you do have that historical company out there called A13, which is what I call mine, that if you need to see that information again, you can just roll back to that company and see that information. So that's your ability in the system to be able to archive data off as needed. All right? Any questions about the backup and archive procedures?
Can I interrupt?
Go for it.
This is Carla, and I just want to emphasize that some of the stuff that she's going to be showing you, we would be happy to walk you through. So if you're interested, we, again, try not to wait till the last minute. At the end of this call, we will go ahead and put some email addresses up there so that you can contact us and we can get some time on the schedule with Ty or any of the consultants to help you through either doing the backup, assisting with purging, or any of these processes.
Go ahead. All right, so next is order of close of your modules. So first thing you want to do before you do your backup is do a system-wide backup. Two different ways of doing it. It's whatever makes you more comfortable. Have your IT make a backup of your system, or you can go into company maintenance like I did and make a complete copy of your system so that if for some reason something happens, you can restore back to that point in time before everything happened. But you simply follow these modules through as your order of close. So once your backup is completed, then it's your bill of materials, your work order, the barcode module, purchase order, sales order, inventory, MRP, time card, electric reporting. Depending on what version you're on, you might know it as magnetic media. So it all depends on what version. I think the name of that changed back at version 4.4, 4.3. I think the name changed. I can't remember which one. But you might know it as mag media. It's now called electronic reporting. Payroll, AR, AP, job cost, and GL. And some of these modules, if you don't own them, you'll just skip that module and go to the next module that you own and keep going from that point forward. All right? All right. So using Paperless Office to aid your year end. This is a really big thing that I think more people need to take advantage of. A lot of people use the Paperless Office to send sales order forms or purchase orders and so on and stuff to your vendors. But it is a very good thing if you use Paperless Office for your period end. So in your Paperless Office options, you can check that you want to do your period end reports in the system. And then you're simply telling it where you want all your period end reports to go in the system. But what ends up happening is when you send all your reports off to period end, they become here listed in the system showing you what company, the module, which report that you printed at the period end. And you have the ability to go back and review and capture any of those reports that are in the system. Obviously, you can see these are all the different reports that you can do at the time of a period end close broken out by module, but you now can get it back at any time, whether you do it for a month period end or you do for a year period end. You can pull that information from PDF and not have to go to the warehouse and be able to see that information. All right. Next up, this is the big one, checking and verifying your module options and your history for coming years. Please, please, please make sure you look at this information and make sure you're retaining for the period that you know you want to retain information for. Storage is cheap nowadays, so hopefully your IT or whoever's brought in your server can help you out on that one. But stored data is often as keep that in the system for as long as you can, especially you want to pay attention, and this is a good example. Obviously, this is my dummy data company, so it doesn't really matter. But Sage, out of the box, when you first set up a brand new company, defaults your history retention to 2, and a lot of times people don't go back and look at that. Go back there and change your retention to be whatever you want to hold data for, whether it's 10 years, 15 years, 30 years, 50 years, 99. 99 is the max that the system will hold. Hopefully we won't be here to see that. But 99 years you can go out to. But make sure you go through the different modules in the system and make sure that we're paying attention to what the system is telling us in terms of retaining history in the system. And it's also a good time for you to just go through and review in the system what your options and setups are. What happens a lot of times when we do upgrades in the system, we say, oh, we're going to review it later, and we never quite get to it in the system. But as each version comes out, there's a lot of feature and functionality that you get to see in the system that if we don't go through and review, we don't catch that in the system. So a perfect example of that in the system is let me find it, national accounts. National accounts is a new feature. We might have said, oh, we don't need it, we'll look at it later. But when you go into your setups and your options, you have the ability to see, oh, was there new features that was put into the system that I'm not taking advantage of? All right. Questions about any of that? All right, we will continue. That wraps up our year-end process, and so what I'm going to do right now is kind of dive into what's new in 2014. There's a lot of really neat features that I think that are in the system. We now have the ability to do auto-completions in the system. The leave open window is now in the system. You can now do invoice lookups for repetitive information. We also have the lookups in AP that we didn't have before, and we also now have the grid lookup in the system. So I'm just going to dive in and show you that information in the system. So in 2014, when we say in the system the auto-completion of the system, now when you go into company maintenance and you start typing, you're noticing down here, all of a sudden my information automatically starts showing up in the system. So I now have the ability to just start typing and getting my customer information in the system to automatically pop up. That information is now for us in the AP module. It's in the AP, AR, and the accounts received, AP, AR, and IM. Sorry, got myself confused there. AP, AR, and IM is where we now have that information that shows and auto-populates in the system. So when you now go into item maintenance, if I have something that I'm trying to buy, I can just simply start typing what I know the item is and then just drill into it and be able to see the information. So I think that's a really neat feature. Another feature that was put into the system, long overdue, is you now have the leave open option for custom reports. So if you've added any custom reports in AP, AR, any of the modules, you now will have that leave open button that shows up on the bottom. Same thing for financial reports, and I'll show you what I mean. When I go into financial reports, this keep window open. Remember, we never could have it if you ran your financial reports for whatever parameters that you had in the system. You had to go back and start the process all over again to see that information. Now I have that ability, that same keep window open for print and preview that I didn't have before. So when I simply go through and I preview or look at or print my information, when it's all done completed and running in the system, I have the ability to shut those reports down, but it still can come back up and leave my window open in the system. So that's a really neat feature that we finally have in the system that will help aid us in what we need to do. All right. And mine is going a little slow. There we go. So there's our balance sheet. There's my statement of cash flows. And then last but not least, my income statement. But you notice the window stayed open, so if I wanted to run it for another month or a different time period, I possibly could. All right. We also have the ability, is what we call our repetitive lookup. How you know in the system when we had our repetitive invoice entry in the system, when you would go in there, you had to do left and right and scroll through to find out which customer had a repetitive invoice. They've now added this little flashlight button that if you click on that in the system, it will provide you a listing of all the different customers that you have repetitive invoices set up. This is an AP, and this is also an AR. What you also have an AP, which is another feature or another really good lookup, is we all know if you go into invoice data entry and you start to enter invoices in the system, you had to scroll left and right to find whatever invoice you had already entered. You now have that flashlight ability here so that you can scroll through and look at your list of AP invoices in the system, select the one that you're looking for, and either delete it or make changes as needed to the system. Last but not least is our grid lookup. And this is a lot of places where you have grids within the system. I now have the ability, and I'm going to use sales order entry because that's a really great grid for me to look at. If I were to go into an order and select my lines in the system, if I were to go in here and click my little grid button, I now have the ability to type in my grid, and it will automatically jump me to where it is in the system. The grid in the system used to reference this number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it wasn't really usable in the system. But now your grid automatically defaults to the first primary column in the system, so it helps speed up order entry process so that when you're looking for the information, it can jump you exactly where you need to be in the system, especially if you have an order that has a lot of lines that you don't want to have to sit there and scroll the whole thing. All right. Questions about any of those features in the system? All right, we'll keep moving along. Last but not least, Sage is releasing their Sage mobile sales, their mobile service module. They're going to have a mobile service dispatch module, and they're also going to release their account billing and payments in the system. And there's also Sage Inventory Advisor that's been out for a while that you can go through and review, but Sage has had their inventory advisor out probably about 6 months now, and it's a really great product. pretty much what the Sage Mobile Sales does is iPad-driven or tablet-driven, and if you have Sage Payment Solutions, you can get their little swipe card and plug it into your iPad. But what this is it is an order entry kind of system for your salespeople that are out on the road, but it also allows them to create orders, look at customer information. If they're on site with a customer and a customer wants to know what they've done for sales or what they've done, they have the ability to be able to pull up that information and be able to see that information right away. And these 4 solutions that I'm talking about are all cloud-based solutions that Sage is releasing and has out for people to be able to utilize and see. The next one is Sage Mobile Service. This is for your field service guys. What this will do, it will throw their work orders up on their iPhone, whatever. Also gives them the ability to be able to plug in a scanner or swipe for credit cards. But it will go through and they can prioritize orders, so whether it's low, critical, or regular order, but it gives them the ability to go out, do their field service, have a customer sign it, and be able to go forward and with it and have the customer be happy and also charge the credit card or charge it back to the account. We also have what we call Sage Billing and Payment. The Sage Billing and Payment is for your customers. It has the ability for customers to go online and see what their invoices are. It can send electronic billing reminders to your customers saying, hey, you owe us money, and be able to track that. But it also gives you some reporting to see how many delinquent accounts do you have out there and be able to see that. And the customer can also kind of look and see what their future is, what their receivables are, where they're at, and how they've been working along with you. Sage Inventory Advisor, also another one of those that's been out for a while. Your way of being able to track, to be able to restock items, be able to look at what you're forecasting and so on and so forth is in the system, and be able to get that information and make sure you don't have stock out, making sure that you have the inventory on hand that you truly need, and helps you make sure that your inventory doesn't fluctuate with craziness because nobody kind of knows what we need to do to produce what needs to be produced. So all 4 of those, we're going to be having future webinars on that in the coming year. Look for them. We're also going to have webinars on Sage Intelligence. Sage Intelligence is the replacement to FRX. There's also a few other ones out there, Renovo, FYI. We also have BizNet out there that are replacements to FRX that we sell and support. But Sage Intelligence is given to you free out of the box with some capabilities. You can expand on some of those capabilities, obviously for a cost, but that is one of the ones that we'll be having future webinars along with the Inventory Advisor and the Mobile Sales Service and Account Billing. So I'm going to open up the floor to questions. There was a question that came in saying if we save the year-end reports and need Paperless Office, can we view multiple years? Correct. As long, and this is when this is, as long as you've been printing your period-end reports through Paperless Office, you'll be able to review as many years as you are in the system. The system won't purge them or get rid of them. So hypothetically, if you turned on Paperless Office when it came out in version 4.3, which was about 3 or 4 years ago, and you were using the period end, report, you should have in the system right now 3 or 4 years worth of PDFs that you can see in the system. But PDFs that are stored are for however long you tell the system to hold those PDFs until you purge them out of the system.
I've also unmuted everybody too, so you're welcome to chime in.
Plans for a hosted solution, yes. ISM, we do host your Sage 100 system if you do not want to host it yourself. So the email address up here, am@goism, if you were to shoot an email there about that saying that you're looking for a hosted option, we host quite a few clients actually. And we support their system. We upgrade whenever you're willing to upgrade in the system. The only caveat to us hosting it for the system is you need to own the Sage 100 system that we are hosting for you, but we will take that on for you, make sure the backups are done, and all of those items are taken care of in the system. So Any other questions? Carl, I'll turn it over to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Ty. Well done. All right, so to kind of wrap up, reminder, we will be sending out a copy of the PowerPoint, because I know the one key slide everybody's going to want to keep is that year-end, the order of closing. That's been a popular one, as well as we have also been recording this, and we will put it out on our ISM YouTube channel. If you haven't taken a look out there, we do have a bunch of different videos, a lot of our lunch and learns, our tips and tricks, all kinds of good stuff. We also welcome any feedback, and you can send those all to the email address up on the screen, as well as any inquiries. And also, if you would like to schedule some time with any of our consultants for either year-end processing, the purging that you saw, assistance with running 1099s, W-2s, we are here for all of that. We do get hit pretty hard from the support standpoint in end of December and January, so your best bet would be to get on the schedule with us, and we'd be happy to assist you. Other than that, please watch out. Obviously, you're all on our email list, because you're getting these webinars, as well as we'll be getting a new schedule out for 2014 for our Lunch and Learn. So we've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up, trying to keep you in the loop. They are free. Our goal is to just keep you informed of the latest and greatest and what's going on with new products, new features, etc. So again, I welcome any feedback, positive, negative, any new things we could be doing for you as a partner. Let us know. I appreciate everybody coming, and if there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and sign off. Thanks again, Ty. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.